before we were DMG and before we were Dimension Magic Games and had a name, we were just kind of a group of friends, and it's been interesting for me to see the evolution of how things have gone. And I've watched you guys with this deck, and you've really just leaned into what the deck wants you to do. Hey guys, welcome back to Dimension Magic Games YouTube channel. We're back today to do a little bit of a recap from the weekend in Virginia, in which Jamaal and Daniel both attended and both had a great weekend. Jamaal was able to get 4th place with Gamma, only losing to one guy, and that man was the champion and teammate, Daniel. So they were 4th and 1st place with Gamma. If you're familiar with the channel, you've seen Gamma on the channel featured. We speak pretty highly about the deck, and this weekend I think showed why. So first, just want to give the floor to Daniel. Congratulations on the 1st place finish. How did that feel?
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's definitely surreal, but I mean we've had a lot of conviction in the deck, which is why we stuck with it for a few months already, and it paid off.
Yeah, it was nice after the previous regional. You did so well, and then got 2nd. So now that you traveled to Virginia, got the run back, and got 1st, that was awesome. Jamaal, you've been topping with Gamma every event you've been in, I think, all season. So, and your quick reflections on the weekend?
Yeah, well, no, it was a good weekend. Like you said, the only person I lost to was teammate in the same deck. You know, so mirror matches are mirror matches, right? Everything else was just as simple as every other regional kind of showing. I think the deck is really strong, and I think that testament and that conviction just to keep playing it and keep trying and not giving up on it, refining it to the point where we pretty much are running the same list and ran the same list for the last few regionals. So it just came down to, all right, now execute on it. You know, the list is there. We solved it. Now prove it. Even more so, I guess.
Yeah, you guys have been putting a ton of work into it, so it's really cool to see it pay off from my vantage point, to see all the tweaking that's gone on from Nats with you proving kind of like a proof of concept in the deck, right? I don't think people were super high on the deck on release, or at least, you know, they didn't take it to Nats, right? It was still Red Vegeta's meta, and now to see you guys take it all the way, it's been pretty cool. It is tough to finish 4th and be the 3rd best blue player on your team, but we'll save that for later. But so let's get into the list. The list, Daniel's list and Jamaal's list are both featured here. Daniel's list has not changed. So if you, the main deck at least, if you watch the previous video on Gamma that we did, it's the exact same deck. And I think we already featured Jamaal's list at some point on the channel. I don't know which regional top there's been quite a few this season, so I'm not sure which iteration we last saw, but you guys are running pretty similar lists. So Daniel, if you want to just maybe tell us about the list, anything that stands out, anything you want to talk about that maybe you didn't talk about last week or 2 weeks ago.
I mean, it's pretty standard. It's got the whole archetype package, minus the 18. The 18 is kind of lackluster, so we put the red 17 in instead. It's virtually the same thing. It's what you want to do right out the gate on when you open your turn. Charge, play it, draw, swing. And I mean, it replaces itself in hand, gives you freeze the energy. It's pressure. Just a great card, but it's way better than the archetype 18.
So you've got that at 2-0.
And yeah,
Jamaal's got it at 3. I think there's only a few differences, right? There's that one. You like the 16 a little bit more than him. He's got 3. You've got 4 of the 16. And then I think there's a difference on ratios and some of the extra cards, but basically the same list.
Yeah, I mean, like, kind of like what Daniel always says is our list will always differ between 1 or 2 cards. And that just comes down to preference. You know, if you just compare the list quickly, it's really like the D Magic extra card slot, right? We're still looking at the same amount of extra cards. It's just, well, in that area, he opted more for the 4th Sensu Bean. He just figured, you know, it's a deck that wants to be in the battle step more. So just kind of double downing on that. And I agree. I just, from personal experience from Nats and playing, I think from playing the deck a little bit more, there are times where I just don't want to be in the battle step because I can't afford to be, or just the cards don't line up properly to allow me to dominate in that area. So sometimes I just need to negate an attack. And there are a few games, and especially since Nats, that I just really wish I had a negate and I didn't see it. So it was like that kind of bias. Like, you know what? If I had a negate, I probably don't lose, and I didn't see it. So I'd rather just always give myself the chance to see it, whether I needed it or not. So. And then the other difference was like the Hellfighter, the 2 or 3. Really, that's the 16 or not. I just, to be fair, I think the 17 Hellfighter was there to. The reason why I thought it was such a strong card and really pushed for having it in the list was it's very anti-Vegeta, and by anti-Vegeta, it's anti-explosive dance, and it allowed us to give us the Z energy in a color that does not Z charge very well, and a deck that does not Z charge at all, really efficiently. And that card just kind of allows you to facilitate the deck to have that energy tap, so you can keep the rest of your stuff going, and B, it gives you that free Z energy at no cost and no loss. So that's really the main difference. The chilled army, again, sometimes I wish I had that bias of I needed a negate. So I said I'd rather go up and play a chilled army at that point. And sometimes it helps you bridge and keep your unison alive or something, or a double strike you're not really ready to deal with. So
Yeah, so while we're on that, I think that's kind of an interesting point because if you guys weren't aware, the event was streamed over the weekend. Dane and his teammate, I forget his name off the top of my head, but they both did a really
Peter.
Peter, thank you. Yeah, they both did a really nice job streaming the event, giving the commentary, really giving strong analysis, I thought, on the matchups. But one thing I thought that was interesting was, I believe in Daniel's round 5 game, he played against an aggro deck, Meki Tabora, on stream, and Dane was looking at Daniel's list and like, he's got 3D Magics and Hatch, and those are the only 4 negates he's got in his list. So maybe if you could just speak on that, Daniel, because I think initially people still have PTSD from old Gamma, and they just assume when they sit across from a blue leader, they're just going to get negated over and over. And you're running 4 negates, so maybe just speak to the different philosophy of this new list versus what people expect.
Right. Yeah. So the deck just thrives in the combo step. It's where you want to be on your turn, on your opponent's turn, and Jamaal says it all the time. When it's your turn, it's not only your turn, it's our turn. So that's why I went with the 4 beans. If I need extra energy for the Gamma 1 and 2, I play it, pop something. Now my leader's double beam. The way I see it is, why do we need a floodgate like the Topo, the blue Topo, or even Android 17? They swing, they give you 1 to 2 cards. I'm double beam. You're gonna have to do the same thing, right? If you want to get up to 25K, you're gonna have to give me 2 cards. It's, in my mind, it was virtually the same thing. So that's why I opted for the 4 beans.
Yeah, I think people are expecting to see that 14. They're expecting you to slow the game down and play like that control-y style, but really, you don't. You're playing it at a more fast pace, and it's been seen on stream a couple times now. So I don't think that's breaking news to anybody. But I did want to talk about another thing that people, when they look at this deck, I think the first archetype card that gets drawn, that people see or they're drawn to, is the 8-drop Cell. That's Cell Max, and you guys are both only running 2. So maybe Jamaal, if you can give me, I mean, there's bombs in the deck for sure. You've got Broly, you've got 9-drop Cell, you've got 8-drop Cell, but it does not seem like you're relying on those bombs like traditional kind of slower decks would. So
no, so the reason for that is, honestly, it's kind of weird. It's the same reason why we don't run Boo Unison. It's too expensive. The leader thrives in allowing you to play with 6 energy per turn. So you want to maximize the efficiency of what you can do with that 6 energy. And as great as Cell Max is, it really, at the end of the day, is just a 1-for-1 removal and potential, dual attack double, which is really, really strong. But you can put out more swings or more pressure / more damage by not doing it at times. And the Cell Max, at least for me personally, it was they tapped out, and it's my turn 2, okay, play Cell Max because they're going to get punished and it's going to hurt. And I've given up draws with 17 and other things because I knew that pressure alone would equate to more, and I'll get my cards later. And it's one of those when you see it, and it lines up, you play it. But a lot of decks have barrier removal anyway, so then you committed a lot to not gain a lot from it. As weird as that sounds, and like sometimes you rather just have the 9-drop cell because you want to wipe the board, which is also weird because you have a failed spell that wipes the board, but you don't want to pop it all the time because you kind of need it to ignore your energy exhaust. And the cell makes them owe you more cards on top. The 9-drop cell is, you negate, you owe me cards. Or you don't negate, you owe me cards. It's just one of those type of things. And it's like, well, I expect my 8-drop cell max to die as well, barrier or not. And it is a strong card, and there's arguments to have more of them, but then you only need to resolve it when you need it. So the deck draws a lot, and it's one of those cards that plays itself from energy. You can always put it in your energy when you need it. So it's just there for that moment. It's not something you need to see. It's not a part of the curve. It's not like I need to see this in my opening hand. There's other things that you'd rather see and have where it's like, man, if I drew Cell Max, this feels really bad in the moment, because it doesn't really facilitate what the deck is trying to do with how much it can do with playing when your turn and your opponent's turn. That 4 energy investment can be a lot. And again, that's why we didn't run Boo, because 4 energy investment, as great as Boo Unison is a lot, whether you get the energy back or not. You want to maximize your turns.
Daniel, I assume you see it the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we went with more of a, obviously it's a 2-2 split. We just want the utility. Sometimes you want the ultimate bio android, other times you want the Cell Max, but I didn't play it at all on Saturday. And I honestly haven't played it in a while. It's just more there to facilitate. It's a red ribbon, right? So you can ramp it, and if need be, you don't have anything else to do, then yeah, you play it. And it's a really good card, but in like the red matchup, you want to combo it so that way you can push through dance. In the mirror, yeah, I guess you could play it because blue does have a little bit of trouble with barrier removal, but for the most part, you're just gonna charge it. You're gonna keep bouncing it up and down, and you're not really gonna play.
Yeah, the way you guys play the list, it's sort of, I know it's obviously a different color, but it sort of reminds me of Nova in the sense that every play you make is 1 energy, right? And anything more than 1 energy is like, this better be super impactful. Right, because I feel like Nova also thrives on that. I'm going to pay 1 for this, and then I'm going to pay 1 for this, and then everything is very cheap. And that, I guess that's modern Dragon Ball now. But to pay 4 for a bomb it's tough, especially with the amount of barrier removal in the game currently. So yeah.
In theory, Broly kills something for 2. So it's like, do I pay 4 to kill something and get double strike, dual attack, or do I just pay 2 for something, kill something, and get double strike, or dual attack double, half double, right? So it's just like the efficiency is just there. And even with lining up the Gohan rare, you don't want to tap 4 or play your thing, because then you can't play your non-red ribbons if you lead your turn with the Cell Max and tapping 4. Yeah, you could kind of set those things up first and then Cell Max after, but normally if you're trying to play Cell Max, it's because it's the first thing that you needed to play. Therefore, you probably should be playing it first. So to lock yourself into that situation can put you in a bad situation. So it's better to just let the deck play how it wants to play. And like you said, that cheap 1 to 2 energy investment on cards, and then, oh, hey, there's a Cell Max line. Like I said, so like there's a game real quick. My opponent tapped out. It was against Sublet. He tapped out on turn 2. He didn't have the floodgate. He didn't have a floodgate. So he just tapped out and played the Omen of Combat. And I draw, and I have the Cell Max, and I go, I can do so much here. I can play Trucker. I actually didn't even see. I saw Trucker. I saw the Gamma. I didn't see 17. But even if I had 17, it was still play Cell Max because he was tapped out. Therefore, it was, I'm going to get my leader swing. You're going to use your leader skill to out-combo it. Sure, you're at 6 life. I don't really care. Now you burned your redraw. Now I play Cell Max to an open board. Doesn't matter. Swing twice. So the first 2 you're going to take, you're going to go to 4. Perfect. Now I'm going to swing again for 30K double. What are you going to do? You're not going to go to 2. Can't go to 2 that early on turn 2. You know, so now you owe me the cards that you just got from your life. You're going to give them right back to me, if not more. So that's a big theory that I always have and always say on the team. And Daniel knows this. It's about, I don't care if I give you cards because you're going to end up owing me the cards if I do what I'm supposed to be doing. And when you mix, and people are so scared to give people cards nowadays in this game or not swing at life. I'm at this like moment of just, hey, just give them the cards because they're going to owe you it every single time because we're swinging with big things. We're swinging multiple times, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. Yeah, I gave you 2-3 cards. You're going to give me 3-4 cards right back. So, you know, good
The
luck.
Fusion World player is coming out in you.
And apparently.
Yeah,
So,
I just want to say, just to clarify, by trucker, he means the Android 13.
right. So it's like, I know you don't play the cell. That's what I'm saying. The cell max is. I know we're still talking about it, but it really just, if the moment aligns, you take it. But if the moment's not there, you just play your game. You don't care. It's not a necessity. But there's moments where it is really broken because now your opponent has to deal with that, and they have to have the barrier removal. And that beauty of that game was I did the cell max line. His turn 3, he had to spend 2 of his energy on turn 3 to play Janemba. Fine, I knew he was going to have it, but that's fine. You just wasted your entire turn to kill my cell max, and you have to leave one open because you know you can't tap out now. You're at 4 life. You're being taxed. You know this. Pressure's coming. So it was play Janemba, kill my cell max, pass turn. Cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it lines up and it puts and really even against Vegeta, cell max is really, really broken. And that's why we really play it too, is because when they go first and they play the Gogeta Boulder Rival, we get to slam cell max, kill their Boulder Rival. It has barrier, which is now important because they can't neg it, and now you swing 30k dual double, and that's a lot of cards against Vegeta where they're getting taxed and they don't draw well, right? They draw well initially, especially if they have Gohan, but if they don't have the Gohan, they really don't draw well. So if you can tax that hand early and put that pressure on them, it's really hard. And then the only out they have to kill it is Cumber or Massang, whatever he's actually called. But if you have it again, you have it, but then that's your turn. So
Yeah, I saw Daniel kind of deploy that same strategy in the last round on stream against our teammate Raymond. We love that guy, but Daniel put him in kind of an awkward spot on 4 life, and he just won double strike to put it to 40, and it's like you give me the cards or you're at 2, and we'll figure it out later. But you're going to be in a tough spot. I'm playing Bad Omen. I'm on hatch. So do you really want to take this life? Is this, and if you can start taxing people like that, it makes a big difference. Go ahead.
Right. No, yeah, like in that moment, I put him down to 4 quick just because I know Raymond's style. He wants to grind out the game. So I wasn't going to let him do that. Likewise, just like Jamaal said, you give them the cards early, they're going to owe you. The pressure keeps on going, keeps on coming, especially with this deck. It can pivot between just being so offensive and being so defensive like nothing. But in that moment, if he had the super combos, good for him. He gets out of it cheap. If he doesn't, well, then he owes me 4 to 5 cards.
Every time.
Yeah, he ended up taking it, and that just put him on a back foot for the rest of the game. He had to defend from 2, and it's just a tough spot to be in when you're defending on 2 life against a deck that can produce so much pressure. The other card, I think people in general kind of know the archetype. I want to go into the Gohan SH Floodgate, because this has come up on the discussion group a little bit here and there. People talking about it being potentially a problematic card. I'll just leave it to whoever wants to go first on your thoughts on this card. How often did you play it this weekend, and is it as toxic as they claim it to be?
What do you think, Jamaal?
So if I had $1 for every time someone has told me if it wasn't for Gohan, I would have won, or blah blah blah, I could retire. I'm gonna be honest, like from life. I'd be on the beach right now sipping a mimosa or something, because I don't think it's that bad. But from their perspective, I swear to God, everyone in almost every game have always said, "Oh, if it wasn't for the Gohan, if it wasn't for the Gohan, if it wasn't for the Gohan." And to me, that's the best floodgate. I don't care about the topo, the archetype topo at all, because we get to set the terms, and we get to know if it's going to resolve. So we get to choose when we play it. They might have a counterplay, fine. They might be able to kill it, fine. But now we don't have to commit, and we can adjust our game plan for the rest of our turn with the understanding that we won't have the floodgate going into the next turn. So we can adjust what we're doing to say, okay, we don't have the Gohan this turn, that's fine. But they counterplayed it, and then they're using their energy to stop it or kill it or something on our turn. Perfect. Now you're an energy down, and most decks only pass with one energy. So what, are you going to use your energy for a floodgate or to stop my potential floodgate? And most decks in this game don't have a 1-drop to bottom deck, and if they do, they don't want to, or they have to pay energy to play it regardless. So it puts them in a situation of like, it really is a strong floodgate. And the cards crack. I get it. I understand how they feel. It's just weird for me because when they say that statement, I'm like, I was going to kill you regardless. Or you know what I mean? And whatnot. But I get how they feel, that oppression of like, you have to navigate. It creates this mental mindset where they have to navigate their turn with the idea of the Gohan floodgate. And also we line it up sometimes to play it at the end of their turn on their last swing, which is also key. So we don't even have to use much energy investment on our turn. And it's just, but we get so much free energy, we just don't even care which turn it comes down on, you know. But it is strong, it is low key broken, and it's probably better than every other floodgate. And it's the main only reason why a blue deck can be played right now is because of that floodgate. And it's really only 2 decks that can play Gohan. So the other one sucks.
Right. Yeah. I mean that it is really good, but it's also limited to SH leaders, right? And what makes it really good is, the fact that we can play it on our opponent's turn, on their last swing. It's also a walking floodgate. You know, it can put pressure on. You can turn it sideways. You can tax your opponent for a card in their hand, or not take the chance. Don't fuck around, right? And just floodgate them. And the way I see it, honestly, is it's like any of the other great floodgates in the game. You know, Dance, Dormant, Nimbus. It's just like those. You get or Bardock Tenacious. You get one swing. Like, a lot of people don't have cantrips in the mid game. They tend to play them on turns 1 and 2. After that, they're doing other things. Battle cards just don't stick around at this this stage in the game. They are constantly being removed, so the 1-drops just go, and people just Z-charge them anyways. So you get like one swing at max, and then you swing with the Unison and the leader, just like you would with any other floodgate.
Right. You dictate their turn, so you can plan for it. And like we said, we play a lot on their turn. It's our turn. So we can now navigate and say, okay, that's your battle card swing. You got a Unison and a leader. Okay, that's your Unison swing. Most people swing a leader last. Oh, leader swing. Okay, cool. Now let me do all my Gamma 1 and 2. Maybe play another Gohan. Maybe do whatever, start popping the Android 13s and get them on the board now. Blah, 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 blah. Because that's your last swing. And it's telegraphed. And there's really not much you can do to kind of get around that. So we know when we can. Normally, like, playing on your opponent's turn could be scary because you're like, all right, well, I could play. What's their last swing is always the question, right? Like, arrival decks or anything that can activate battle cards. It's like, well, what's their last attack? You're not really sure. But when they're under that Gohan floodgate, you know exactly what their last attack is. You know, at least for the most part, you can map that out and then play around it or play through it.
And back to Bob's question about how frequently did I play it. Every chance, every opportunity I had, I took it. I would play it because it's just that good.
Sometimes I play it knowing that they can kill it just to make them waste an energy to kill it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, exactly. Like, if you look at the finals game where I played Raymond, I played it on his turn 2, and he had marker. He had one marker left. He had the marker left, and I basically told him, if you want to get rid of it, then spend your marker. But if you spend your marker, then you have no defense. He didn't have sparking set up. He was at 4 life. He had Zeno, but I mean, you're gonna go -1 to play Zeno. I don't really care. But if you want to spend the marker and remove this Gohan, go ahead. But at the same time, I could have another one. I could just play it on my turn.
Yeah, when the list was still in like its embryo stages back 6 months ago, I remember discussing with Jamaal just like, because I think Android 14 was like the first thing that came to everyone's mind when Gamma got released. Like, oh yes, we get to play this again. But then as we walked through it, it was like, I can pay 2 energy and pitch a card, and they can counterplay it. or I can commit 1 energy and see,
Right.
and it's just comes out way more efficient in the end to just find out do they have the response or not. Because if you leave 2 up and Topo gets counterplayed, you're really in a bad spot. But if you pay 1 in this deck that gets 6 energy a turn, it's not as punishing, and then you can plan around not having it, right? You can still be proactive. The other thought I had, because I was interested to see, because most decks just don't have a 1-drop, right? Like I've been playing swap when we've tested a few times, and there's nothing to bottom deck. You just get no swings, so you're just
Swap
screwed.
doesn't. Nuova doesn't have a single 1-drop because they can't target their balls. Yeah, no, not at all. Not a single one. So
Yeah, it's especially good into Nuova. If you play correctly into Nuova, you don't play your Gamma 1 and 2. They can't free play Gohan, right? They don't get their little plus. They don't get the free play. So now what are they going to bottom deck? They can't bottom deck the balls. They don't let you.
Yeah, they can tap 1 and play the Gohan, I guess, but that it's just ruining their turn. So,
Yep.
But I was interested in the main event, obviously because 2 of my friends were playing. But Tapion, in theory, is probably the best deck in the meta that would be able to swing through the Gohan Floodgate, right? It produces 2 1-drops a turn. If you start bottom decking them, it gets a little, dicey because you don't want to be not being able to activate battle and get your leader draws. But it didn't really play out in the game where that came to pass, where he was able to, I was thinking as the game was getting going, man, he could push through and just play a bunch of 1-drops, and he's going to play his 17-18 unison and get 3, and then he could push 3 battle card swings through. This will be kind of interesting. This will be the only deck in the format that can actually get through this really harsh floodgate, but it didn't end up coming up, but that would have been cool. So I guess the last thing, unless you guys have something more to talk about on the main deck, it's just the SCR choice. It seems like this season, this group of players in particular, and you, Raymond, and you guys and Raymond have brought back Baby Hatch into the forefront. It had been missing for quite some time. I don't think anyone was really playing Hatch in the generic blue decks, right? It was Beast Gohan, and the best blue deck we'd seen in a while, Android 21 from set 20, that was playing the in-art type SCR. So you guys are playing an aggro deck without Beast Gohan. So maybe just give me a little bit of insight on Baby Hatch. And I know you said that people, if you didn't play the Gohan Floodgate, I would have won. I imagine you get a similar amount of comments to, man, if that dude just didn't have Hatch, I win the game.
So. Every time. No, so I've been preaching to the team about Hatch since Beast Time came out. And I've been preaching even more importantly about Hatch and aggro blue decks. And that's a whole different conversation about 1 versus 1. But the reason why I think, what I've been preaching is that with the new line of decks coming out from Bandai for Blue have been more aggressive since the baby deck, the Planet Tuffle baby, the second iteration was an aggro blue deck. And I remember even there was yo, this is broken when you guys think about it in actuality, where you can be as aggressive as you want and then hatch. So you could tap out. You could Fawn Blue can untap. You don't care. You tap out. You can maximize your turn, do as much pressure as you can, and then follow up with, oh, here's a hatch. Can you clear my board? Yes or no. Whether you do or don't, you have to survive a turn of aggression, and now you have to do it again, right? So that's the ad. To me, that's one side of it. The other side is this is a card that says I don't lose this turn no matter what, unless there's some weird burn deck. I do not lose, right? And it gets you guaranteed another turn, another chance for me to win, to try to win. Maybe I don't, maybe I do. Doesn't matter. Point is, it gives me the opportunity to try, and then a deck that's aggressive. That's all you need, and that's what this game in general is about, is how do you get to the next turn? Because we always say, man, if the amount of times we probably said it in any deck, if I had 1 more energy, I could do X, Y, and Z. If I had 1 more turn, I could do this, I could do that, or I could have set this up. But we don't get there because their aggression was too much, or we just lost too much to be, now the next turn is irrelevant, or we're dead before we get there. But Hatch gives us that 1 more energy, in theory, right? It gives us that 1 more turn, to line something up, set something up. It allows us in this deck to the bad omen play, where I've had people put I put the bad omen in my energy because leader's broken for free, and they see it and they're like, I got to play around it the entire time, and it's like, well, that's my beast on, that's my burn. You can never go to one, and you can't. So now you have to play awkward, combo awkward, negate awkwardly, whatever, because now that pressure's there. And there's times where I know Danny, me and we've both done it. We'll be aggressive as fuck and force them to one life. We'll dump on a leader swing or our last swing on a turn and go to 80k, and they're like, I got to take it and go to one, and we pass turn, and they go first swing, hatch. No, you're dead. It's guaranteed game, right? There's nothing you can do to stop this that's happening, and you just line them up, and they're dead.
Bloodlust.
Right? I guess called bloodlust, right? But like, you got it. But then we're not going to do that against that, right? So, and the wild part is, if they call bloodlust, we have other things, right? It's like, okay, I don't really care. So it's just one of those, like, hatch to me has always been from that moment in that set such a great SCR. I know a lot of people who play this deck and they've been playing Beast Han, and I get it. Why? Because it adds to the aggression, but I've always preached part of it was the redundancy. I don't need an SCR to do what the deck can already do. No matter how good it is or how well it executes on that, that's fine. Not denying it. But if my deck can already do X, I want my SCR to do Y. I don't need my SCR to also help me do X, because there are times where I've had hatch in hand, and I think to myself, if this was Beast Han, this be cracked, but it wouldn't be, because I'd be dead. I wouldn't even get to the turn to play the Beast Han. So it doesn't even matter. So for me, hatch is just, it's just, why not? Why wouldn't you want a card? And it's funny because I played the guy played Gogeta SCR, does his stuff, blah, blah, blah. He swings, I go hatch. And I was like, hatch is best SCR in the game. And somebody that was watching was like, I don't know about that. And I was like, I mean, one against one, when you have yours and I have mine, hatch beats Gogeta SCR every single time. You know what I mean? Because there's no cooler counter. Therefore, you got your energy markers. I don't really care. You didn't kill me. And now you're probably dead. Or you better hope you got a lot of negates to use with those energy markers to maybe not die. So that's just kind of my take with hatch. Like, it just, I don't know. I love the card. I've always loved the SCR. It was never about not being able to have a Beast Han. Maybe maybe a step started with that, like not having access to it myself. But then I just realized I just don't need it. I just don't care. I'd rather just hatch you every time.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I mean, ever since I've known Jamaal, he's been the biggest proponent of hatch. Even back when Cooler was on ban. But those were different times. I don't really agree with that, but I digress. The point is, your hatch is perfect for the deck. Ton of pressure with our 6 energy a turn starting on turn 3. And then we can just get the turn right back. No problem. Or you can set up the bad omen. You don't even have to ramp the bad omen how I did in the finals. A lot of times you'll have it in hand. You'll do your thing. If you have hatch and omen, you do your thing, push them to 1, and you just dump on that final swing where they say, all right, no negate. You do whatever you want. Push them to 1. You use the Z field, pop 2 energy, and now you owe yourself 2 energy. So you put the omen in at the end of turn, pass, and it's just checkmate. There are ways out of, to deal with the omen, but that's something else. But for the most part, it is checkmate.
Right. And I think that's what's important, is that we can line it up. This deck allows us to set it up. Even if it's not hatching a bad omen, we've done turns. We'll just be aggressive as hell, turn all our stuff sideways, play all of our things, draw our cards, remove the board, and reset. And then they get their turn. And we go, okay, well, no matter what, I think at Nats I played against Pan, and he went crazy, pushed me in. And the one thing about Gamma is, because you ramp yourself to 3, and Hatch says if you have 3 or more energy, you're allowed to play Hatch a turn sooner than any other blue deck was able to play Hatch before, right? So now those are super aggressive decks. As long as you got to turn 2, you're going to end that turn on turn 3. Right, with at least 3 energy. You have to. You don't even have a choice as long as you awaken, if you awaken. Therefore, your hatch is always live earlier. So these super hyper aggressive turn 2 kill decks or turn 3 kill decks you now have your hatch to even get you to the next turn. And a lot of those decks run out of, I guess, stamina, right? Where if they don't kill you on that turn, they're pretty much dead after that, and it kind of guarantees that you get there. So
Yeah, I think a lot of people would, at least when the deck was released, were thinking Android 21 SCR also, right? But
yes, yeah.
it's a little bit redundant also, I think, because it you already have a lot of removal in the archetype stuff, but it's also you're not trying to heal and stay in the game forever, really. I mean, of course, that's a broken ability, but with the aggro style that this is leaning into, you don't really want to be stalling out and then tapping 4 and healing 2 life. Like you want to be progressing the game state all the time, and it's gonna be interesting because the counter went away, the prevalent one in the format, the yellow one. But now, in theory, I don't know how much the anniversary box is going to make a big difference in the meta, but Surge 2, it seems like, will, at least in the beginning of the format, be tried out and tested out, and people will play Almighty Resistance. So it'll be interesting to see if that alters any of the playstyle of some of these decks that are leaning heavy on Atch or the negates. So anything else you guys have on the main deck before we move on to the Z deck?
Broly's busted.
Yeah.
Broly, yeah.
Yeah, I got a teammate that tells me, hey, why don't you have Oob? Where's Oob? It's too conditional.
Right.
The Broly, you just, on turn 1, if need be, pop your marker, pop your energy, just play it. Just put it there. What is your opponent going to do about it? What are they going to do on turn 2?
Yeah, the amount of times I played Broly on turn 1 or 2, and they're like, "You can play that card this early?" Yeah. And it just
and I just want to say the 17. I have 2. He's got 3. It's just dealer's choice. I wanted to see it. I want to see it turns 3 and 4. I don't want to see it all the time. That's the difference there. He's got an extra check land. He really wants to see it, and truth be told, you need to see it on turn 1. Otherwise, you could get stalled out. You could have a bad time. And then the UI. The UI is just a great card. Offensively, defensively, all around. It should be in every blue deck.
And then our super combo is Zeno. I know some people are running more of the Android, like Bionic Blitzes, or the one that untaps your energy. But for us, we know, look, you're ramping from the top of your deck at random a lot of times. Sometimes you put your SCR in there. Sometimes you put something in there that you might want in your hand, whatever it is, right? A non-red ribbon that you can't pick up and the deck can't manipulate. So Zeno just is doubling down on saying, hey, here's an additional deck skill that gets me my non-archetype stuff. And all of our non-archetype stuff, as you can tell, are really, really, really strong cards. Whether it's the Gohan Flood or a Broly or our SCR, sometimes even it's that D-Magic or the Beam, right? Whatever is in there, it's like, hey, we could do some really nasty things with the Beam and the Zeno, even if the Beam's in our energy. So it just allows us to even put in a red ribbon, like the Trucker or a 1-drop, right? So we can line that up and go Zeno, pick something up, put that down, use the energy that we got. We just untap, basically, play Gamma 1 and 2. Oh, now we got to pop the 1-drop that we just put in from our hand. Oh, or pop the Trucker that we just put in from our hand. Boom. So just the Zeno is the best super combo. And obviously we don't run 4 because, you only really need 3, and I think you have to run 3. And then the archetype 1, it's just a draw card. Sometimes you just need to just draw the card. And I kind of just use it even offensively. That super combo, if I have it, I use it. I don't even really care to hold it.
It's red ribbon too, so.
And it's red ribbon, right? So if you ramp it, you can and that's the beauty of that. If you ramp it off the top of your deck, you can pick it up with the 18 unison or one of your 16s or something, or your 17 or whatever that lets you manipulate your energy, allows you to pick it up. Yep. And like you said, I run the check land just because you do need to see the multicolor. Sometimes you pop your field, and at least the check land, the field gets rid of an energy exhaust. So if you pop your field, you don't have it anymore until you replay it. So the check land just allows you to always guarantee that you have that blue-green in certain situations. But eventually you don't even care about having the blue-green in your energy. You just kind of really need it for your awaken.
Yeah, to that teammate who wants you to play Oob. Oob is one of those cards that it kind of reminds me of Brainwash No More for black, where It does its job just by being a card. You don't have to play it in your deck because when your opponent plays against the blue deck, they're like, "Oh man, do I need to Z charge 2? Nope, I probably shouldn't Z charge 2. I'm gonna purposely play from a less advantageous position because I don't want to Z charge 2 and give you Oob, right? So even if it's not in your list, people do it. I know when I play against blue, I'd rather. I feel so dumb when I Z charge to 2 and then they play Oob. So to avoid feeling stupid, I just don't do it.
And I think the thing with Oob is its removal, and a deck that has nothing but removal. And we have the best removal in the game in that field spell, the Z extra, Z field, whatever Z extra, whatever you want to call it. We have the best removal. So anything that the Oob would have been able to remove, and it's only 3 things. Worst case scenario, we just pop our Z extra, and it could have killed the same thing. And I'd rather have it where I can guarantee I can always remove something, and that's also for 2 energy, right? Realistically, fine, you don't get the body, but half the time you don't get the body of Oob anyway, because sometimes you just don't meet the condition. And I don't want to have a card I can't play in my hand. I want to be able to play anything that I draw, which is, if you look at the deck, everything that we draw is playable. Everything that we would have in our hand, with the exception of Bad Omen, anything we have in our hand could be used in a turn. There's no condition. We don't have to rely on our opponent to have X or Y, or if this happens or that happens, we can always play our cards. And I think that's what's really important, especially now in Masters, is you don't want to have dead cards in your hand, or you don't want to draw a card and say, oh man, this would have been a really good card if. We don't have to worry about that. So.
Yeah, 9-drop Cell also kind of fills a similar role as Oob would without giving your opponent a bunch of Z energy. And so, yeah, it's a little duplicative. All right, let's go to the Z deck. You guys, I believe you only vary on 1 card. Daniel plays the Sun Goku 2-drop that punishes your opponent for having 10 or more cards in their hand, and plays 2 of the Justice Impact / Kaboom, depending on if you're rich or poor. And then Jamaal plays no Goku and 3 Kabooms. So I guess if you guys just want to have it out on why you need 3 Kabooms or why Goku is worth including, you can argue.
Yeah, I mean the Goku, it'll come up every now and then. I didn't play it all day on Saturday. I rarely even play it because we're putting so much pressure on. You know, like Jamaal said earlier, they owe us the cards. They get taxed every turn that we're on the play. 3 Kabooms, it could be super handy in the mirror match. You can just constantly clear your opponent's board, and then untap your leader, play another one. And it especially comes up if you don't have like the Ultimate Bio Android, because that card is also super good in the mirror match. But I'm poor. I don't have 3 alt arts, so I opted for 2. So yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah, so, I mean, I have an extra one for you. Side note, but the reason for me was I actually started with the Stronger Together, and I think I was the one that probably convinced Daniel, like, oh, we should play this and should be in there, because sometimes decks do have 14 cards in hand. A lot of decks can get to 14, 16 cards. But in my games, in my testing against those decks, especially at regionals, I found that the 2 energy that it costs and the Z that it costs to play the Goku, Z energy, I found that the 2 energy I was putting into it to make them go down to 10, I could have just done more things to swing at them to make them give me those 2 to 4 cards anyway. So it became and I didn't have a lot of, like, my Z energy, I'd rather use that 2 Z energy for Deborah or 18 Unison or even another Z field, rather than 2 Z energy is a lot. And yeah, we have the Hellfighter, but it still doesn't give us enough to just say, hey, we can just play whatever we want with our Z. It's not infinite, right? And the Stronger Together is weird because I love the card, but because this deck was so aggressive and so much pressure, my opponents only had 10, 11 cards in their hand at the end of the day of my push turns, regardless, that it was like, oh, I don't even, like Vegeta would have 16 cards, and then by the time they get their turn back, I'm like, cards in hand, and they're like 9. I was like, oh, well, I guess it didn't matter, you know? And there are cute interactions with the Goku with Gamma 1 and 2, because it is a dual name, so you could give it triple strike if it ever lined up that way, and you can line it up that way. But again, it just feels kind of unnecessary.
It's too telegraphed is the thing.
Right, you know it's
Nobody plays
coming.
into it.
Right. And the kaboom, I think I was telling Danny, like 3 kabooms is nice because sometimes you do get battle card floodgated. There's not a lot of leader floodgates like Nimbus and stuff. So like you can blow up that board. Some decks can rebuild their board pretty efficiently, even if you wipe it. Sometimes you don't have the 9-drop cell Broly bio android. And it's just like, oh, I could just kaboom your board and play another one. Kaboom your board, play another one.
Yep.
And it's just kind of an important card. And I just kind of just didn't want to be caught without it. Have I played 3? I think maybe 1 game I played maybe in all these regionals. I ended up needing a 3rd one, but you don't need it. But I just don't think you need the Goku either. I think the being cute part is kind of unnecessary. To be honest, the only card I ever played on my Z deck is Kaboom, Android 18, and Deborah. I don't even play Beerus. You know, I don't play the Bojack. I know we put it in there. Our buddy told us about it. It's cute, but it just doesn't even. I don't care. So.
Daniel, defend Goku. No, I'm kidding.
It's kind of hard to, man. Stars have to align, and they just never do, right? So, like, idealistically, you would play it if your opponent has 12 or more. I think bottom decking 2 cards out of your opponent's hand is pretty good for 2 energy. You know, back in the day, we used to tap 2 for Ribrianne. We were okay with 2 cards, so why not get 2 right there? But then you also want to get the Act Battle, Act Main, or whatever the heck it is. Give your Gamma 1 and 2 triple. But it just never happens. It's even if it did happen, you get into the combo step, and there's too many battle tricks in the game right now. It can just get removed. It doesn't matter.
It's a 4 cost. It's just the game I wanted to. It doesn't have protection. It's a 4 cost. Almost everything can interact with the 4 cost, and it's just not worth the investment.
Yeah.
So I agree. It's just not. It's cool. It's cute. It can stay in. Right? There's no right or wrong answer because you barely touch the other half of the Z deck anyway. So if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not.
Yeah, there are some decks, especially I think about yellow decks that go up to 15, 16, 17 cards in hand. And it's like, man, is there a better use of 2 energy than a -6 here? Probably not. So
Nope.
It does come up. I know. Here we go.
No, yes and no, because like when I play U7, and I play like at a set card, he had like 14 cards in hand at one point, maybe 16. I was like, oh, okay, well that's not gonna stay like that, you know. And I was right, you know. He had that 16, and I kid you not, by the time that next turn turned around, or the end of my turn came and his turn started, I was like cards in hand, and he said 9. So he went from not 16 to 9 anyway. Yeah, okay. There's an argument. Well, what if he was at 10 and then you did what you did, and then he'd be at a lower number? But it's like, part of me thinks I only got him from 16 to 9 because I used that 2 energy to go play. Like 2 energy in this deck is Android 17 and Trucker. That's 2 swings, right? And you draw 2, right? And you can put a 30k swing on something, or 25, 30k. 25k is what? 2 cards in and of itself is a swing. 30k is 3 cards in and of itself is a swing, right?
You draw 3 actually.
25 is 3. 15,
well,
20.
You draw 2 for the 17. You draw 1 for the 13.
Right, you draw 3. Right, so I draw 3. We draw 3 cards, and then we still swing at them for 15. So that's 1 card, right? If we swing with the 17, that's 1 card. You swing with the Trucker, that's 20. You make himself 30. Fine, that's another 2, 3 cards out their hand. So yeah, we could have played for that 2 energy. We could have played Stronger Together and got 3, 4 cards out their hand, or just did we pushed our game state forward, as well as got those cards out their hand. Where I think Stronger Together, all it does is get those cards out their hand. It doesn't progress our own board state, and it doesn't make our hand bigger either. Where the other line does make our hand bigger. So it's kind of like, what's the point? It's more value. Just play your deck, play the game. Sure, there are times where I'll admit there are times where like, oh, it's Stronger Together be really strong right here. Ironically, I'm like, I'll be all right. I'll get through it, and I would, and I have.
Yeah, it's sort of. I know I've talked about Fusion World already once, but it does give me that Fusion World kind of vibe where like you can play the extra cards in Fusion World and remove your opponent's board, but then that takes up your whole turn, and you didn't progress any. You didn't put anything on the board for them to remove, and you kind of just like kick the can down the road instead of actually progressing your own game state. So I think that's a cool thought experiment for game nerds like us to go through. We already talked about the efficiency of the deck and how strong the one energy plays are. When we looked at the Z deck, I think everybody looks at Deborah as like, okay, this is the on-demand barrier removal. They have to play this if they play a big barrier threat, whatever. But I know you guys are both pretty high on the Android 18 Unison. It sees play in other just generic blue decks, but it's really strong in the archetype it's built for, obviously. So Daniel, can you maybe just talk about when you went into the Android 18 Unison, what you were like, situations in which that came up that it was really useful?
Yeah, I mean the card's perfect for the deck. It's the power level is just off the charts. The fact that it can bottom deck something from their hand, can bottom deck something on board, untap an energy. It's a double block. It's a double strike blocker. It's and then it picks up a card from your energy. I think people, when this deck first came out, they tried it and they were kind of ripping their own energy to do to proc the autos on some of the cards, and then they would owe themselves the energy at the end of the turn. But with this card and the Android 16, you pick up the cards before you use Act Main on leader, and now those cards that you picked up just go right back. You go right back. You utilize them for 13. You utilize in the finals. If you watched it, I comboed the shit out of Cell when it was an energy. This energy right here. If I pass the turn, it gets warped. So why not just use it? Why not just put extra pressure, tax this guy, and get a free Z charge? But all that to say, the 18 is just, it's what you want to be doing in the deck. Deborah, it'll come up every now and then, and it'll win you certain matchups. But for the most part, 18 is just so freaking good, for lack of better words.
Yeah, I'll say, ironically, 18 is the best card, best unison in the deck that you don't have to play, because I can actually, like, there are many games where I haven't even played it at all, right? Like, it's weird because, like you said, the card's broken and it's amazing, perfect card for the deck. But sometimes it's just, you don't even need to do it because the deck is just so good that it just lines up where even that 3 energy investment for the unison for the 18, you could do so much more with that 3 energy that you don't even need the 18. But when you do play it in those games and you do find yourself to line it up, to be able to kind of get it on the board efficiently, it's broken. Like you said, you pick up your cards, you manipulate your energy. It's a draw unison. It's basically a better boo in this deck. You have the board control, you have the hand control. It just does everything. It untaps an energy if you would, depending on the mode you choose, or untap yourself to have a blocker. Like, it just, even against, I played against the same Mechie deck that he played against on stream, but I didn't play on stream. We actually played him in the exact same round, the 2 teammates. And I put the 18 unison down and I Gohan floodgated him. So now it was, you can't, and I'm at 2 life, but it's like, you're not going to kill me because I have a D Magic and I have an 18 unison. So how many swings can you really get? You know what I mean? And I get a free blocker. And he's like, I can't get through it all. He's like, I can get this swing here. He played a Cumber SCR, Evil Saying, whatever it's called. And it was just like, okay, well, that doesn't stop the blocker. So you can have it. So the card is really, really strong, but it's also a card that the deck is so good you can win without it. But having it is also just as amazing.
When it bridges, you can feel it, and your opponent does too. It's too much. It's kind of like how when we used to play Boo, and it bridged the turn, Boo Unison that is. If it bridged the turn, you kind of just run away with the game.
Right.
Like every time you established it before it was limited to 1, you had to kill it. You can't just leave it there. But and I also want to say that it's got like a Xeno-like effect, right? Because we can't control what we ramp. They're just random ramps off the top of the deck. We're replacing cards and energy. And if you hit like a 16 or a 17, you don't want that to be an energy. You want it back in your hand. So you swing and it just goes right back to your hand.
Right.
Exactly where you want it. So it's perfect.
Yeah, it feels terrible to play against because now you're already on the clock with the amount of pressure that Gamma puts on you. And now I have to decide, do I really want to knock 4 markers off of this 20k unison? Is that what I'm going to invest my entire turn into doing? Or am I just going to live with this bottom decking your card out of my hand every turn? And both options suck. so I don't like playing against it at all. I wish it was a 2-cost unison so I could black smoke it away or something, but it just, unless you're playing green,
You
it
know,
just sticks. So it's really good. I'm gonna move on to the side deck unless you guys have any more thoughts on the Z deck. I think we covered most of what we needed to cover there. So
well, real quick, I will say two things: that it does double down on them owing you cards because it makes them bottom deck a card from hand. So after your turns of aggression, that turn of aggression too, you hold your effect and then you go, oh, you don't have anything on board, or I wiped your board. Hey, I'm just gonna make you bottom deck one. So you just owed me a bunch from comboing or negating or floodgating, whatever you did to owe me these cards, and now you owe me another one. Right? Against green, they dormant you. That's 2 cards. Now guaranteed they're neg 3, right? Not, and that's not including anything else that they might have had to lose even under dormant. And then the Deborah. The second thing, real quick, is the Deborah. Yes, it's 4. We talk about efficiency, but it's just energy removal or barrier removal, and it lines up because it's a unison. So even if you leader skill, you can still do it after. You're not forced to have to be the first thing you do. And it's just, and it helps the deck. It's a 20k duel that untaps your energy. It synergizes really well in those moments that you are forced to play to the board. It never feels bad to tap 4 for that, just because you gain so much value. And it is another card that if that card bridges, it's annoying as well, right? The Deborah, yeah, it doesn't plus, but then they're like, oh my god, you get another free removal. You get another maybe lockdown and another 20k duel attack. So
makes sense. All right, let's hit the side deck. You guys have pretty similar side decks. Some just fixing of ratios and some stuff for specific matchups. I guess I don't know the easiest way to do it because there are some tangible differences here. I guess I can see Daniel's fears, stuff he was nervous about matchups just by looking at the side deck. So Daniel, maybe you want to just go through the choices here, starting with Deborah and just walking us through why you chose some of this stuff.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Deborah's is perfect for the deck. It's anti-hand destruction, and I firmly believe that when you pair it with D Magic, it's just one of the best 2-card combos in the game. Whether or not you sparking, or if you have one open, you D Magic, you untap 2, and then you play Deborah. It pays for itself. It's perfect for blue. The Broly, it's to help us facilitate the Trunks 5-drop if we run into anything with Indestructible, Zamasu, Garlic, um, Iron Broly. Then we can tap 2 for Broly, and then play the Trunks instead of tapping 4 for Somax or for the Bio Android. It would suck to do that. And then and then also the Broly comes in against Vegeta, because some Vegeta players, if they go second, they like to play their 6-drop Z battle. We can't have that. So if they do that, they pass to us on our turn 2. We just go into Broly, get that shit out of here, because we can't play the game if it's there. Ultimate Bio Android, it's honestly for the mirror. It just wrecks the mirror, and it's also for green. You want to play Dormant against that card? Good luck. You're dead. I mean, you're already going -2 for Dormant, and then you owe me, X amount of cards to combo out of this swing. Jiren, I mean, turning the tide, you got to respect it. They play it, you lose. You play Jiren, they lose. Gowasu, Mill's a bitch, and you got to be prepared for it. So I opted to go 3 this tournament. Bitter Revenge, that's for Iron Broly. Obviously, I had a bad run into, against DeCoste in the PPG online, and his Tapion stuck the whole game, and there was nothing I could do about it. I swung so many times, and it never died. So I just said, fuck that. I'm just gonna play Bitter Revenge, put it in the drop, and then I'll just deal with it in one fell swoop. The Trunks, I already went over that. The Tapion, you gotta respect Aegis Gogeta. Their SCR is too good. If that thing if it survives more than one turn, you probably just lose. And then Gohan 8-drop, fuck 6-drop U7 Goku. That's basically what it's for.
Okay, Jamaal, you had a lot of similar cards. I think so. The main differences here, when I look, you still have the Topo in the side. At 2 of, you've got the Zamasu, the new counterplay for red. It's not counterplay, but the card you would play to counter red. and then you've got the 2 Zenos in there. So maybe just talk about not being afraid of mill and picking those cards instead.
Yeah, so my philosophy for mill is kill them before they mill you. And and sometimes you gotta run through a motherfucker face. And that's basically what I do. I know it's flawed, it can be flawed logic, but for me, my luck, I'll mill the mill cards anyway. Or I'll mill the anti-mill cards and then be like, well, this is awkward. I should have just tried to kill you. And I think Gamma is more than fast enough. I do think the cards are important. You need the anti-mill cards in probably almost every side deck. But I feel like Gamma's fast enough that you can kind of swing through it and kill them. You don't draw a lot with Gamma unless you're spamming your 17 draws. So like the mills are kind of, you're not, how fast can you really actually mill me? And I just don't have the same fear. And maybe I'll get punished for it one day, but I haven't been punished for it yet. Me and Danny both played against the same OO player. Danny claims he was playing OO mill. I think he was playing OO blue mid range, and he said he sided in those anti mill cards. I just killed the guy. I literally just ran through his face, and he even said, "I've never seen this deck be that aggressive before." He's like, "I didn't even expect you to be able to be that aggressive," and he said he plays the deck, and he just wasn't expecting it. So he was just dead before. Even if he was playing OO mill, like I killed him so fast that it wasn't even like if he was playing mill, I would have never known. You know what I mean? Like there was just no signs of or chance or timing for him to be able to do it. So, but I do think that the anti-mill cards are important. I just don't care enough. Someone has to kind of mill me out for me to be like, oh, all right, I guess. And then I still play the topo. I do side it in sometimes, but only against decks that I know can't punish me for leaving 2 energy open, and or can't punish me if I tap the 2 energy for it. And even then, I kind of just don't even care for the card. The deck is so fine-tuned that it's really hard to side with this deck. You only can side in about 2 to 3 cards max. You kind of need we built it where way the main deck just does it all anyway. I have the Zeno Unison. He used to our side decks were actually almost 1-for-1 carbon copy up until his the PPG regional, where he made all these adjustments that he has the differences. The Zeno's really good against field spell decks because especially Nuova, you take away their Z extra and they don't have another one, so you slow down their draws. It's not an auto win, but it is a hindrance for them. And the Zamasu counter, I actually is supposed to be for Vegeta. I sided in, but I never play it because I think we're 100% favored into the Vegeta matchup. But I do side it, and when you play it, they could just kill it with Cumber. But if I see it, I'll play it, sure, I guess. There's times I've had it in my hand the entire game against Vegeta and didn't play it one time because I just didn't care. I did play against a Super 17 deck, ironically. The same one that you guys would see on stream. I played him the round after, and it was like turn 2, and I just top decked the one of Zamasu counter, and I just played it. I was like, I don't know, 17 looks like it negs a lot. And I played it, and it literally sat on the board the entire game because he has 3 cards in his deck, and it's the same card. And it's a 17 that it can absorb when it swings, but he never saw it. So he just lost it. Like, it was just like he just auto lost the game. So, like, there is value in his Zamasu counter in decks not named Vegeta, ironically, against red decks not named Vegeta. And then everything else is pretty much the same. I've always said, I think I push the team to always play Tapion and Jared in the side deck every time. If we play blue, I always tell it, any deck we play, whether blue or not, I always say we have to play one Jiren. You know, some teammates are like, that's trolling, we don't care, blue's not relevant, or decks aren't going up. I don't care. I'm always going to respect it because you never know. You know, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. You'll never hear me say I got by 17 unless I just didn't draw it. And same thing with Tapion and Gogeta. There's always going to be somebody playing. It's funny, like one of the regionals, I actually sided into Tapion. Raymond was sitting next to me, and I killed him so fast, I had the Tapion Unison in my hand, but he didn't see his Gogeta SCR. But even if he saw it, I had the out, but he was already dead before it mattered. You know, so, but respect. To me, it's just you got to respect those cards. And what's 2 slots in a side deck to say I'm going to respect something that would auto win them the matchup? And I mean, everything else is really just the same, right? I mean, it's not. So I don't really care about what take you on. So.
Yeah, I think my biggest question looking at both side decks is there's one card that is notably absent from both of your side decks that was probably in every other side deck in the room, which would be
Starts with a
Daniel.
K, ends with a Kai.
Yeah, yeah. Talk about not including Toitsukai when you played against Tapion in the finals.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to have it, but like at the same time, our deck can do a lot with 6 energy. Do we really want to spend 1 for Koitsukai? It's like I mean, it stops them from getting draws. They're still going to get them on their turn. So what? Raymond is the type of dude. He's gonna play his Oceanus. He's gonna play a 17 at Quake. He doesn't care. He knows he has to do it to bridge the turn. And I went back and watched the stream, and I heard Dane say, what if you ran into Cooler Mill? I mean, we have some of the best unisons in the game in our Z deck, so that's what I would have done. I don't have to commit to these battle cards. I can play them, get my draws, combo them off as soon as I swing. I don't really care about Cooler Mill too much. But at the same time, like, even if I did have the Koi, it's for instance, I run into green. I mean, they got Uneasy, they got Dormant. A few of them have King Cold. And even if they do have King Cold, I got the Degora. So what? It's already being sided in because it's green. I run into yellow, they got Bardock. I'm ramping to 6 every turn and have to go down that I could just, all right, well, I'll just keep swinging through Bardock. I don't care. And then Cooler Mill, we got the Unisons. Blue, you saw what happened when Raymond played the 17. I didn't. It is what it is. I'm going to pay the tax. I'm going to keep swinging because our battle cards are that good. And the swings are going to come tall. They're going to be 30s. They're going to be 40s. And good luck.
Yeah, I don't even know this off the top of my head. The Zamasu counter, does that prevent the cooler battle cards from netting your stuff, or is it only red cards specifically? I don't even know how that card works, to be honest.
I'm pretty sure it says your cards can't be negged. Pretty sure it's just
so that could cover, because they don't have much removal outside of
negging.
Power
No,
neg, right? So like Vegeta definitely just taps 1 for Cumber and gets rid of your Zamasu counter, and now you feel stupid. But yeah, so no Toitsukai. That was I think that's the one glaring omission. But the state of Masters is so diverse right now that you really can't side deck for every matchup. You just kind of pick and choose like what you think. If it's a 50-50 matchup, you probably just can't side for it. You just have to go with your main deck and use the side deck to cover like the auto loss, right? You got to have the Jiren in there. You got to have the Tapion Unison, and just try and find ways to kind of fill that gap.
For sure. I think the side deck evolved a lot from Nats, from what I originally had and talked to the team about. I believe I had like Koitukai's in there or Meki Kabora and stuff. And then, like I said, you kind of play the deck and realize you don't even have the time or space to put those cards in. It's already hard enough to build the deck as is. So you really don't even have the swap cards. You don't have the space to really take cards out. And when you do, it has to be worth it. And like you said, it kind of has to really help you in that matchup if you're willing to take away from what the main deck was already doing or shaving on some of those numbers, because all the cards you can side are not red ribbon, which is also very important. So you're kind of taking away from your red ribbon numbers for non-red ribbon cards. So it has to really, really be impactful. Sure, you can take away from other slots, but again, those are already very finely picked. Koitsukai was one of those cards that I had in there originally, and it became a one. When am I gonna? One energy in this deck can mean so much. I don't really want to use it for Koits. And 2, it is a black card, which is fine. You can get it out your energy, so you don't care. But it just too many decks in this meta right now. I think there's a time and place for Koits, and right now is not the time or the place. Too many decks have extra card negates between Explosive Dance, Uneasing, and Dormant, and Nimbus, right? And those are the main decks you're going to play against. Blues are relevant in the meta, so like that's the only one that has a lot of playing to the board battle cards negates. No other color really plays them, so you're putting your Koits in. You're not going to play against green. They don't even play on your turn anyway. And then yellow barely plays on your turn except the Floodgate. And if you get Floodgated with the Bardock Floodgate, and be honest, you Floodgate me, I pop my energy. I'm really good for it. I really don't, because I get it back or I put it back from my hand at some point. I actually swung through Bardock Floodgate for 40k swing against the U7 player and just didn't care. It's like, all right, I'll just pop this energy, and that's how I got the Bad Omen in there. It was, oh, okay, well, I'm at 3. I'll swing with the Broly double strike, go to 40, pop the D magic that I had in there. Is gone because I can't pick that up at that point anyway. Oh, look, end of turn, put in Bad Omen. So like, you just don't really care. Quoits, I understand maybe against certain decks like Cooler, but like you said, we have these Unisons, and Unisons are already a better counter against Cooler. And I was watching Ritzy play next to me all day, and the one guy who's playing U7, he sided in the anti-mill cards. He's like, "Oh, I saw them, but I saw one and I milled the other, and blah blah blah." And Ritzy's like, "I don't like." Ritzy killed him without milling him. You know what I mean? So it's just like you're trying to avoid not getting milled, but these new mill decks don't even have to mill you. It's just a secondary win condition. Even Zamasu, it can kill you without milling you. So why not just kill them before they kill you? If they're racing you, then we can race faster. I don't know. Koich just doesn't. Maybe when we get more battle card floodgates, if they start banning these extra card floodgates, Koich will have its resurgence or more playing on our turn type of decks. But even then, even against us, if you Koich me, then I just don't play anything. I don't care. Like it is what it is.
Yeah, it's interesting. The decks that Quoit hits are changing. Like, I think about, you would never think about Quoit playing against the black deck, but black now is playing the counterplay. They're relying on token negates, and they're relying on the free Bardock negate, all of which get hit by Twitch guys. So you wouldn't really think about these type of decks that do that, but there are cards that are coming in on your opponent's turn. It's just like what's in the meta. Black isn't really at the top of the meta right now, and then a lot of the stuff you might not need it for. And if you're confident going into Cooler Mill or Tapion or whatever, like Tapion, Raymond plays it, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's a super prevalent deck, right? So you can get away with not playing it, I would say. All right, so we've covered the entire deck. We've seen its evolution through multiple videos. If we want to, I'll let Daniel go first here since he won. He gets the honors to go through the matchups and just kind of talk about the decks you saw in the room and how those matchups went.
Yeah, so round 1, ran into my worst nightmare, Iron Brody. That was a tough one. And I'm not going to lie, I won it in time. And if the guy just had maybe another couple minutes, he probably would have had me. But it is what it is. Round 2, played into, surprisingly, I played into a Tapion that wasn't raining. That was it was a good game, but he wasn't raining. So I got that one. Round 3, I played
Not many of us are. So.
Yeah, he's legendary. But I played against Oobmill. It was definitely Oobmill. All right out the gate, the guy was just like combo, you draw Z charge on your turn, combo, draw Z charge. He was milling them. Anyway, I got that one. I set up the Omen into hatch, just checkmate. Round 4, played against Jamaal. It went well for me. I drew the nuts. So round 5, that was on stream. Played against Brian. That Mechie deck is busted. I don't know how or why it's able to push so much damage on turn 1, but thankfully it worked out for me. Round 6, played against a Vegeta player. Another game that went down to time. I asked the judge for an extension because we kind of started a little bit late. We didn't get it, and I won due to number of cards in deck. The weirdest shit ever. But and then round 7, the finals, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that was a brutal one to watch. I was very excited going into it because I knew you guys were playing, and I was like, "Oh yes, dude, my boys, they're on stream. This is gonna be so cool." I had it on in the living room. My son's walking by. Hey, look, is that Daniel? Is that Raymond? They're playing each other. That's so weird. And then as I'm watching the game, I'm like, man, this actually sucks because I had no rooting interest. It's way better when I get to watch one of you beat somebody else. Now it's like, I don't want either of these guys to lose. It was kind of like a weird viewing experience. So hopefully it was fun for you guys to play. Hopefully Raymond too. But as a viewer from the outside, it was like a very odd. I don't think I've ever watched the game like that where it's just like, man, I don't want either of these guys to lose. Either you're indifferent or you're rooting for somebody. And this one was like, every time you did something good, I was like, yes. Oh shit, no, that's not good for Raymond. I don't like it. Never mind. So that was a fun Saturday afternoon on my couch. Jamaal, you want to go through your 7 rounds?
Yeah, sure. Round one was I got real bad memory when it comes to what I played against, but round one was against Kefla, Yellow Kefla. She just said she was just here for the vibes. She was just here. I actually didn't see a multicolor until turn five, like actual turn five. But I don't know. It was, so we actually wanted. That's the only game I wanted to time because I couldn't do anything. But like she wasn't doing anything, so it didn't matter. I don't know. It was weird. And then round two, played against a kid that I know allegedly. I don't know why I know him, but I know him, and at least he knows me, and he looks familiar. But he was playing Bojack, and he actually was at 8 life for about 7 turns, maybe 8 turns. I don't know. It was kind of wild, but he had like ramped to black Koitakai. I guess he sided the Koitakai in for some reason. Weird behavior. And it didn't matter. But I had the Jaren in my hand, respect, and so I was counting. I always count their energy when I know they can go to 7 and get their turn on 7. So it was actually cool though because he was at 8 and I was at 4 or 3. But like I know how to. I play Bojack myself, so I know how to play against the deck. And then eventually I just started swinging at him, and I started getting his life down. And then there was a turn that I didn't know SCR was playing, but I hatched him, and then I had Bad Omen, blah blah blah, or something. I was trying to set it up, but then he hatched me, so he was playing hatch, and he said he was only playing hatch because he couldn't afford a beast on. So I was like, well, that's awkward. But I thought he had the actual beast on. I don't know because that's what they play in Bojack, but it didn't matter. And then I ended up getting him. I think we get almost time or something. He had the 17 at some point, and he's like, "Oh, I can 17." I was like, "Bro, here's the Jaren. So don't even think about saying what you could have done because I had the out. Please stop." But he's good guy. I like the kid. Round.
Apologies to this Bojack player who just got
Oh, for
completely
sure, for sure.
slandered.
Shout out to him though. No. He was a good player for sure. It just I don't know. It sucks for them because they're playing these obscure decks, but because I play Bojack, I know exactly what the deck wants to do. I was playing around all his stuff, and you play things. I wipe the board. I'd swing on purpose, knowing that he was going to play Bojack out, kill it, and stuff. With that, Gamma just really counters Bojack because what they want to do, we can just stop, and they don't get a turn. They want to play. It's our turn as well, dot deck, but we get to end our turn with us wiping the board. They don't have that luxury. Round 3, I have no idea what the fuck I played. I'm not even gonna lie. Can't even fake it. Yeah, not even a little bit. 4 was Daniel. 5 was Wes on that Meki deck. So while I was playing Meki, ironically, with Gamma versus the Meki aggro deck, he was playing Brian, playing Gamma versus the aggro Meki deck, and they both won the die roll, both took the marker, and both did the exact same thing. So whatever y'all saw happen to him on stream is exactly how my game went. Only difference was I didn't have a negate except hatch. I didn't see a single D magic, and I hatched him on 3, and he was like, "Ah, oh, fuck it, I guess I lose."
I do have a little bit of commentary on that one because Wes posted his list. He's a super nice guy. He posted his list, and I've been kind of tinkering with it and going back and forth with him. And as I was watching Brian on stream play Daniel, obviously I'm rooting for Daniel, but there was actually a line of play that Brian could have taken where he could have played Evil Sane on turn 2 because Daniel ramps to 3. But right. I'm not sure. Maybe he doesn't play black all the time, or I think he was new to the list. So that because I asked him afterwards, and he said I didn't even like that line didn't come to you, and it is a weird scenario because typically your opponent is not on 3 energy, in that point of the game, so you never really would play it traditionally. But I wish it's like some time machine I could recreate that same scenario and see if he just played the Evil Sane on 2, what. Like the butterfly effect of that, because it's an interesting line of play. So just if you're playing against Gamma, because I know in the past playing Android 21, I've ramped into green and then got solidarity on turn 2. Like, I messed that up. You're not supposed to do that. So there's just some things that open up because you're playing against Gamma. So that's a really neat list that those guys came up with.
Yeah, shout out to them for sure. That list is fire.
Yeah,
deck's fire. I remember my round 3 opponent. It was the Android 17 guy after he played on stream. The Zamasu just destroyed them. At one point, I had like 2 17s on board. I had like 2 truckers on board, a 16 on board,
Super
and
17.
yeah, Super 17. I had so he just couldn't clear my board. He couldn't neg anything. So like he had played the Goku barrier blocker on his turn, trying to neg something, and I was like, you can't, and I couldn't let him like revert it back. But like, I mean, you still played a barrier blocker, so like it was one of those like it's not losing you the game. You just couldn't neg anything, and you weren't going to be able to neg anything anyway. So I don't tell you. But no, Shai was a good guy.
Yeah, no take back gaming.
Yeah, no take back gaming. Only here. And then yeah, so then 4 was Daniel, 5 was Wes, 6 was the Mill deck, allegedly Mill, not
Good
Mill.
deck right there.
Shout out to the kid, but it wasn't even close.
So he'd only
Pretty
lost
sure.
to Daniel to that point, I guess, and then he sees.
Yes. He actually said, he's like, I played it against another Gamma deck. He's like, that's my only losses. I lost to the 2 Gamma decks. I lost to 2 Gamma decks. And I was like, weird. It's awkward. And then I think, what was that, 6? Was him.
Last round.
Yo, shout out to him though, for like low key, being that high at the table that I had to play against him in round 6, X1 with Oop. It's pretty impressive. I don't know what he played against, but he was pushing people's shit in. He was milling them out, allegedly.
Probably. Yeah.
Probably with his not mill deck. But so he was cool. And then the last round was Sublet on U7. Shout out to Sublet, but it wasn't close. I don't know. He hit me with the look. Shout out to Sublet, but he hit me with the coveted. Oh, well, if you didn't have Hatch, look, bro, you saw SCR. I'm gonna say this right now on the tapes, on the record. You saw SCR. You saw Annihilation. You saw the 1 drop because I Gohan floodgated him, and so you saw 3 SCRs in that, and then had the audacity to say, if you didn't Gohan floodgate me, I had the 6 drop Goku. So you have 4 SCRs in your hand. And your 8 card hand, and he went from like 16 to like 8 or 7. Like it was bad. It was rough. It was weird. So you saw 4 SCRs basically, and you complained about my 1 SCR. Like that's to me, that's like full logic, right? I get it. Shout out, great guy, great player, cool game. We were chatting up for like 20 minutes because they had made us do a deck check. But like, I don't think that's fair to complain in that moment to say, well, if you didn't have Patch, well, obviously, but like if you didn't have Gogeta SCR and Annihilation, I don't lose the game. You know what I mean? So it is one of those tomato, I guess. But it was cool. And I know I say this in a lot of videos, but none of these games were hard. Like realistically, none of them. And I know it sounds like a troll statement, but like it really is. Like none of these games are hard. Yeah, I lost to Daniel, but like we had a good game. It actually kind of came down to. I don't think it was time. It wasn't time, but it came down to the wire, right? Like, it was like, yo, okay. Either you win this turn or I win this turn, right? Or it's like, or I either win this turn, and if I don't kill you this turn, I'm dead next turn, or vice versa, right? Like it was a very like, who has the hand to kind of navigate the end of the game. It was close. It was cool. You know, it sucks to have to play a teammate, but like we have 3 teammates there, and we're all killing it undefeated. It was inevitable. If it wasn't round 4, it was going to be round 5 or 6. You know what I mean? And if it's not round 5, it's guaranteed to be at least by round 6, right? One of us would have had to play each other. It's impossible for all 3 of us to make it to the finals. So I'm happy, like, at the end of the day, if I had to lose to someone that day, that it is a teammate, just because I know, okay, well, now it's going to elevate him and he's going to keep winning. Trust my teammate, it's going to elevate me. You know, so we got 3 of us in the same team going 1st, 2nd, and 4th, which is fire at the end of the day. But, like, none of the matchups were like, oh, I'm scared, or this is a hard game. Even the games I bricked, the games that I didn't see the multicolor, there's certain games. Against Sublet, I didn't see 17 until the last turn of when I was lining them up for the Bad Omen play. Actually, after I hatched. I didn't even line up for Bad Omen. I hatched. I got my turn. I drew for turn. It was the 17, and I was like, oh, well, I don't even need it. And shambles and tapped out. So
Must be nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. 17. Who needs that card? Weird. But no. So, but I just feel like I have a little bit more experience when it comes to playing with the deck. Of learning, I learned early how to play without 17, but that's just from having been able to play more regionals than Daniel. But I understand the importance of the card, so I know how he feels. But we've been talking about it a lot. I feel like I've been trying to coach him a lot with the deck about how to play. He's always kind of like come back to me and say, "Yo, how do you beat Vegeta?" You know, I think at first he was like, "Yo, this deck is hard against Vegeta," and then I taught him how to beat Vegeta, and it's very simple: run through a motherfucker face. And he's like, "What the fuck does that mean?" And then he did it, and he was like, "Oh, makes sense." You know what I mean? So that's just really all you do. And I know a lot of people. I mean, I know we're at the end of this, but I know a lot of people ask us all the time. They ask me a lot of times. I get a lot of comments or DMs. Yo, how do you play this deck? Do you have any advice and this and that? The best advice I can give you is literally that: run through a motherfucker face. It's not a control deck. Yes, I know Ivo and what's his name, Spiffy something, Mackay Grant, Kel Grant. They played a very control style deck, and you can. Some people are playing, still trying to fit in this Bardock stupid thing, which can work. There's a version of the deck that exists, but the deck, just turn your card sideways, kill your opponent, play the cards as they come, do what the deck works when it wants to, how it works, and just play it that way. You don't need to be cute. The longer the game goes on, the worse it is. I'm gonna be honest. You get to ramp to 6, so why am I allowing my opponent to get to 6 energy? Because I get to do so much for that first 4 turns before you get there, that we should be taking advantage of the advantage, right? Like, we should be able to say, hey, I get to turn 6 before you, so let me do as much as I can before you get there. Fine, you might floodgate me and you'll get to 6, but I'm not going to floodgate and purposely get to 6. And yes, we play Gohan, but that's just so we can get to the next turn. I'm not out here trying to get to turn 6 or 7 and let you get there. If you get there, like the Bojack player, he got there, obviously, because he can slow the game down. So we have to be prepared there. But like Vegeta, certain decks, the more energy they get to play with, the worse it is for us. Their decks are better than ours in the late game. They have more things and more broken cards, realistically. We do the same thing for 5 turns in a row, right? We have the same pool of cards that we're using for 5 turns. So it's not like where they have technically a similar pool of cards, but they get to do more. But we already did our more. We've already shown our hand, right? It's like playing Uno with your hand open on the table. You know what I got. You know what colors and numbers I got. It's how can you stop what I'm showing? So we can't allow them, and we shouldn't be really fit to be efficient with the deck. Don't let them get there. They get 6, 7 energy. It can hurt. Because we still have to defend up until that turn, right? So we start running out of resources too, and all our battle tricks as well. So really, the key to the deck, if anyone's watching at this point and really wants to know, is just kill your opponent, turn him sideways. And I know it sounds like just very simple statement, but I don't know how to say it in words that isn't just that. Kill him, turn him sideways.
Ultimately, I just want to add on to that just a little bit. Ultimately, it depends. You know, you play into yellow, you don't turn the 17 sideways. It's your draw engine. Make them work for it. Make them turn it sideways to kill it, because they can't do it. You play into green, just turn everything sideways. They're going to pop everything. You play into red, turn everything sideways. They're going to neg it. Play into black, turn everything sideways. They're gonna fucking warp it. So, you know.
Right.
So
right. The biggest exception is for sure yellow, which was one thing that I kind of had figured out. We were talking about, just yellow has to turn your stuff. They can only kill if it's rested. And so if you play 17, they can't kill the 17. They go through hoops to rest it. Perfect. It means they wasted an energy or 2 to do it. That's even better, because yellow needs all of its energy. So if it's wasting anything to do something it doesn't want to do, then it's really bad for them. But yeah, like you said, you turn all your cards. Don't get married to it. Oh, well, maybe they can't. I don't want to turn my 17 sideways because then they can just swing at it. Then we're going to swing at it. They're going to neg it, or they were going to bottom deck it, or they were going to do something to kill it anyway. I might as well just get the card out of their hand for it, whether it's a negate or a 5K combo at that point. It's just worth it every single time. And I think the quicker people realize that, the better you guys might do with the deck. Stop trying to make the deck do something that it's not. It's not old gamma. It has nothing to do with old gamma. You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't play with all the floodgates and stuff. Let's be honest. Blue's floodgates right now suck. We don't have an extra card floodgate. 17 is just whatever. Yeah, if you saw the finals, I just swing through it. I didn't care.
You don't care.
One card from my hand is not enough to stop me. I'm just gonna keep going.
Right. For sure. And they can't deal with the aggression when you swing. They don't expect it. The amount of people have said to me, I didn't expect Gamma to be that aggressive. I didn't expect you to be that aggressive. I didn't expect you to do all of that. You know what I mean? In a turn, they're like, the people siding Crown, and they're like, oh, I have to side in Crown. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I never pass. The amount of times every rare player playing they siding crown, I never pass with 2 energy open, and then over to about 2 or 3 turns later, it clicks. They're like, oh shit, this is stupid. So they start charging them, pitching them, comboing them, and I'm like, exactly, you know what I mean? But like they don't know it, and I get it. But then the one guy said he was like, well, the guy at my locals, he always passes with 2 open, and he always plays in the crown. So I was just expecting you to do the same thing, and I'm like, well, that's the problem is people are playing a deck wrong, and you're setting yourselves up to get your shit pushed in, and that's the problem, or to get countered.
With I'm built different, or what'd you do in that
Basically.
moment? Did you,
yeah, right. Like just build different. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's just like that's the key. Is like stop setting yourselves up, trying to play a way that the deck doesn't want to, and then you're playing into what your opponent wants you to do. They're already countering your counter, or they're thinking about it, so they already have the tech for it. Well, make their tech dead. Make it where, like, someone cunning me on turn 1. I was like, that's cute. I don't really care. And I keep telling people, cunning doesn't matter. And then people are like, well, it makes you have to think about sell max and untapping 5. What sell max? I didn't play it. I don't give a fuck. And even if I do play it, I don't care about untapping my energy because we have Zeno or D Magic. Like, what are we? Right. So, and I'm giving y'all some.
Or Senzu Bean.
Or 4 Senzu Bean, allegedly. Depends on who you ask.
or 3?
But the point is, it's just like people are siding against it like it's a traditional blue deck. And I'm like, none of these cards matter. You are hurting your deck, your main deck, to try to hurt my deck. And I don't care. Like, and it's funny, the guy who cunning me, whatever deck I was playing, by the time that I did decide to play the Cell Max for some reason, I had 10 cards in my warp. And it's funny because I had Cell Max and 16. And I was like, I'll just warp 5 and untap 1. I didn't even need the other 5 in my drop. I could have untapped 2, but I didn't have to. So if I'm purposely choosing not to untap in these moments, and when we play against red, we're so used to not untapping our energy anyway on purpose, what makes you think you stopping me or slowing? They're like, it slows you down. No, it doesn't. I don't need it.
Yeah.
So it's an aggro deck. It is that can transition into a control adjacent deck, but stop playing it as a control deck from the start. Play it as an aggro deck, and then you can still be as a little bit control-y if you need to be, and you got to understand when you can and what matchups that's important for, because some people
can
naturally
control the board. You know, right. You got the emergency button in Kaboom, the Z field, you can blow up the board. You got Ultimate Bio Android, blow up the board, tax them if they counter attack. Just be aggressive. Don't do traditional blue things. Don't put the 17 in. Don't put the 14 in. Just swing at their face.
And trust me, they'll die. They'll die every time. And they'll owe you card. That's the biggest secret that I can ever give you from DMG. Is our biggest philosophy is they're gonna owe you the cards anyway. Yep. If there's anything you can take away from this video, is that philosophy. No matter what you're doing, no matter what deck you're playing, always remember. Because I've played Control for a long time, and I play Magic. And counter spells, right, exist, and people are like, well, if you have the counter spell, I can't play this card. If you don't play the card, then I still have the counter spell. You have to play the card and force it out my hand. Yes, it might put you in an awkward situation, and it might be weird, but if I don't have it, you got to take the chance. Obviously, it's a strategic know when to limit test your opponent, but like there are times where I'll have 3 open, and they're like, oh, I'm not going to play the spell because you can counter spell it. Okay, cool. I didn't even have it. But now you gave me a turn cycle to find it, and now I do have it. So now you're like, oh, I don't have a choice now. You backed yourself into a corner. Now I have the counter spell. So, like, the thing about, and I take that philosophy in this game as well, even though we don't have counter spells, it's the same ideology. You have to force your opponent to have it, and you have to force me to get it out my hand, whatever I might have. Because if you don't, I'm going to always have it. You're always going to be in this situation. So that's how you need to address an approach when you're playing your matchups and your games. Force them to have it, or just play into it strategically. So.
Yeah, that's well said. I think you have to cut me off if I ramble here, but it's before we were DMG and before we were Dimension Magic Games and had a name, we were just kind of a group of friends, and it's been interesting for me to see the evolution of how things have gone, and I've watched you guys with this deck, and you've really just leaned into what the deck wants you to do. If you read the cards, this is this is what you're supposed to do. I think with the deck, you're not supposed to be trying to find Bardock and trying to put in all this stuff that's not
Well,
archetype. You're supposed to lean into what it is. And I've watched us do it over and over. I mean, I watched 21 and 2023 start as like other, you guys were playing Gamma, and then it turned into 21, and it's like you just leaned into the archetype, what you wanted to do. You were heavy on the kind of comboing in the tokens and playing the tokens, right? I don't think people were doing that at the time. Your Dice 21 list was different. And then just to watch it iterate over time and get better. And every event, it built. And then in the summer, Raymond and Daniel both won an event, right? And then the following year, it was Go Hanks, where we built on that and played that. And then this year it seemed, Gamma, Raymond's having success with whatever he picks up, because we're not gifted like Raymond. But to just see, like, if like Jamaal said, if he has some advice for you, like they're gonna owe you cards anyway. I would say if you have a group of people that you get a chance to test with and play with, and you can look at a deck, you could do this really with any deck. They're having success right now with Gamma, but if you have a group of friends who can see, like, what is the deck trying to do, how do we maximize the value, and let's just iterate on it over and over until we fine tune it, because these lists are very fine tuned, right? I would say at this point in the season, like if you look back at Jamaal's list from Nats to what it's even like what's kind of like the nascent ideas we were starting with before Nats, to what he played at Nats, to now, like, as it's come along. And I give Jamaal credit for building kind of belief in the deck, right? Because I don't think people were super high on Gamma to start the format, and then he topped Nats with it, and now you see it's popping up, right? Daniel got on board, obviously super strong player, takes it all the way. But Jamaal is, I mean, you've topped a whole bunch of regionals this season. Your last 2 runs in a row have been ended by Daniel, unfortunately. So, like, if he's not in the room, it would probably be you winning with Gamma. So it's just it's just cool to see, like, the different iterations over time of how it improves, kind of the process of looking at it, reflecting on it, just talking about it. I know we don't always play a ton of games in the Discord, but we do sit around and, just kind of pick at the bone and try and figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work. So if you're lucky enough to have a group of dedicated players to work with, try and stick with the deck. Pick something that you like playing, and you can see it this year with Jamaal's success, because Jamal's been a really strong player. We've seen him play strong, and then the results in the tournament, because it's like you're swapping decks and you're playing different stuff and trying to find the one. But if you can find a deck that vibes with your style and vibes with your what you're trying to do, like, look, just the run you guys have been on is super cool to watch. So just as an observer, I enjoy seeing how the sausage is made. I guess it's really neat. So if you can take something from that, try and find a group of guys that'll put in the put in the work and talk about it and talk through everything, and then test it out, and hopefully you don't play each other in tournaments. That would be ideal. But if you never lose, and the only people that can beat you is in your own, are the guys you travel with, then what can you do? Someone's got to win the event. But
yeah, for sure.
I'll turn it over to you guys if you guys want to give any shout outs or wrap us up here, bring us home. We're about an hour and 38 minutes. So
yeah, I mean, just really quick, just shout out to my family, my daughter, my wife. Love you guys. If not for them, they allowed me to go. So very grateful. Shout out to the team, my brother Jamaal. Like he said in the beginning, testament to our dedication and our conviction in the deck. It's come a long way. The deck is just so fucking good. Try it out, and just like and subscribe.
Yeah, for sure. Same, man. Shout out to the boys, to the family. Shout out to ourselves. You know what I mean? We put our work in too. The team helps, our boys help, family, friends are there supporting us. But we also got to do what we got to do, in these moments, and we got to execute. Like Bobby said, we find that group, and we found that group. We're lucky, we're blessed to have each other. Shout out to just DMG all around, and everything that we've grown and we're trying to grow and get you guys, you guys to be a part of this too. Whoever's here locking in, rocking with us, watching this to this, like Bobby said, an hour X in, almost 2 hours. We appreciate you guys. Shout out to all of y'all. We wouldn't be making this stuff if it wasn't for you guys, if you guys didn't care. You guys make us better players just as much as we're trying to help you guys to be better players and give you that insight as well. So we hope you kind of take something away from any of this, whether it's not just Gamma, it's the game itself. There are a lot of crumbs and cookies in this conversation that you can apply to everything that you do in this game if you want to be a better player and kind of make a name for yourself in any card game, So, but no, I appreciate all the time and shout out to Bobby for holding it down on the content. For real. You know what I mean? Like,
Number one host every
number
time.
one. So, but yeah, that's really it. I mean, thank you guys for watching. Like you said, like, comment, subscribe, give us that input. Tell us what you think. Like, yo, be harsh, be real, be honest. You know what I mean? And if y'all got questions, comments, concerns, we're here. We'll answer all of it. I don't care. We don't have secrets. Yeah, you want to know something? I'll tell you it straight up. So, secrets adjacent. You can't tell them everything, but tell them something. But we're here. We'll always be here for you guys. So, thank you.
It's been really cool to start the channel and just see the positive feedback we've kind of gotten from the community so far. A lot of kind words have come our way from putting these videos out. So that's been really cool. And for me, I don't get to play as much, but getting to give you guys a platform and kind of do this stuff, because I've been pushing you guys to kind of come out of your shell and share what you guys have, because I think it's very valuable for the community to get this kind of insight. So it's been really cool to see you guys get the opportunity to be on our own channel and do our own thing and just kind of show out and make an impact. And it's neat, having guys travel now to the events and not just playing the onlines and getting to interact with the community, and all the feedback's been really cool. So congrats, guys, on your awesome finishes. Hopefully we'll have some more content this week. We'll get Raymond on to talk about his spiceless Tapion list. And sorry, Raymond. It's got a lot of spice, dude. You're spicy enough.
There's no spice here.
Fine. Yeah, it's fine. And hopefully we'll start getting some more stuff out. It's tough with everyone. The last couple of weeks have been tough with everybody traveling and getting prepared for Virginia, but it was worth it seems. So I know I'm supposed to say this way earlier, but like and subscribe and comment and do all that stuff. And if you have any questions or whatever, just send a message and we'll help you out.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.